So hello everyone, welcome to Babylon Tome. Today we're going to talk about this video that was made on October the 4th on religion and science toward COP26. So this was essentially a signing document of all the religious world, religious people in the world, they represent, I believe, 400 million people, excluding the Catholic Church that uh, counts, I think, 1.2 billion. So that's around 1.6 billion people that were represented there. So it's not the entire community. There were only, well, I believe that it describes the word in Revelation 13, where it says that all the world wandered after the beast there. So I've took a couple of notes. So there were basically two parts on this presentation. The first part were people from the religion and ecologists. And the second part was about, us, two scientists that came and talk about science. And you'll see, well, they talk about science. It's they didn't talk much about science, but basically they enthroned the Pope as the moral leader of the world. Basically, when you read between the lines, this is what they did. So I took notes. I'm going to read you my notes. So they say that we have to change the culture, that the rich must finance the poor countries, and there's a very big emphasis given on the fact that the poor countries are lagging behind. So we know that in poor countries, there's more liberty, and it's going to be more difficult for the poor countries to implement Sunday law if it is right as it is right now, because the markets there, they're open and you can go in and people sell and buy, and it's poorer. So basically there's less infrastructure to control people. So basically I believe that so part of the reason why they say that is that they want some kind of infrastructure, probably mainly in Africa and South America, to control people. And they said that they have to transform the food industry, the pattern of consumption and production, that the banks must now support sustainable finance and sustainable industries. So they need to have, basically they will have a free pass. There's going to be no covenant for those people, likely, and the government's most likely going to, grant them support also. They say that we need to have a new ecological education. So they talk about brainwashing. So we're, the current crisis of the COVID-19 is a preparation for that next step. And this next step of the environment is going to usher in the Sunday law, and with the unions. And they say that we need to build sustainable and just community. So what's that, right? So there's an element there that discretionary, and we must have sustainable lifestyle, and there's a concept of the good and bad sustainability. So this is all qualitative. I mean, this is all this is not a quantitative thing. This is this is vastly a discretionary discretionary description here when they talk about sustainable lifestyle. What does it mean? If you want to be sustainable, you're gonna have to pay a special tax of $1,000 on top of your $1,000 ticket to go to Florida during winter because of the pollution you make. So that's a huge tax. So this is a super inflation, a hyperinflation scenario. Been saying that for years, and we live in it right now. It's gonna accentuate very soon when the dollar is gonna collapse. And so they're talking about the future generation, and they have a new Greta Thunberg on there. She's an Italian lady. She seems to be maybe a little older than Greta and prettier. So that's her here. And it's basically the same discourse than Greta. Same stupid discourse. And so So yeah, they say that it must be speedy action must be implemented. So I believe that following this COP26 in November, of course, we know that Google's gonna censor any kind of video about COP26, or not about COP26, but about the environment, or anyone that talks against the environment. So it's all there. I mean, they're preventing the spread of the third angel, the first, second, and third angel right now, because it's all part of the first, second, third angel of Revelation 14. And so speedy action. So be prepared in 2021 and early 2022. The world's gonna change probably as much as it changed since 2020. It's my opinion. So they also say that the scientists say we have 10 years. So we had the same stupid discourse from Al Gore in the 90s, and we had Greta Thunberg from Canada in the 90s as well, another stupid lady that was saying that the pole's going to melt in 10 years. And they all say that in 2000 there's not going to be any ice left on the Earth. And yet, 20 years later, roughly the same amount of ice. It can variate. It does variate, but not much. And but reason is completely put aside for this papal agenda. So they're talking about energy transition. We must have zero emissions. Some talk about 2030 and some 2050. So it means no oil. When they say that, zero emission, no CO2, means no oil. And there's the Imam of Al-Qadza, Ahmed Al-Tayed, who says that, he cites a lot the Quran, and 2 or 3 imams there, they cited a lot the Quran. And I guess that's good. I mean, because really not much of the so-called Christian cite the Bible in there, because it's all a pantheistic agenda. That thing. I mean, they're talking about this guy here in blue, that guru is talking about, and the Buddhist and all that. They're all pantheists. They worship the earth. And so the Patriarch of Constantinople, which is the Orthodox Church, which used to be a Protestant church, but now it's all, as you can see, the Patriarch, they're here. And they're all dressed in black like Jesuits. They're Jesuits. That's what they are. They're Jesuit, undercover Jesuits running the Coptic Church and the Orthodox Church of Russia and of Constantinople. They are Jesuits. And this guy says one of the most stunning thing that I've heard in this presentation. He says, we need to heal the wound of the planet and reconciling the division of people. So, of course, when you look at Revelation 13, it says here, and I saw one of his head as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wandered after the beast. So it's talking about the Pope here. And they're talking about healing the wound constantly. And they say that, and they worship the dragon, so Satan, which gave the power unto the beast, the Pope, and they worship the beast, saying, who is like the beast? Who is able to make war with him, right? Because Satan is on his side. So these guys are all Satanists, is my opinion. These guys are all Satanists. And yeah, so he's talking, as I said, reconciling the division of the people. So in the book World Order from Henry Kissinger, page 20, he's talking about the division of the people. He says that the Protestant Reformation divided the authority of the Pope, and that it was impossible to manage the world order with the Protestant Reformation. So basically what he's saying, this Patriarch of Constantinople, is that this division is over, right? The Protestant Reformation is over, because they're all Jesuits running all the churches of the world. So it's pretty clear when you understand what's going on. Then there's the Archbishop of Canterbury, who says that the finance architecture that repents of past sins. So of course, he's talking about, and he says that in the past 100 years we have declared war against the planet, and that we need taxation and trade to be more green. So again, the Archbishop of Canterbury fails to denounce the fact that the Rothschild family, who founded all the central banks in the world, which finance all of the war over the past 100 years, as he says, that we have declared a war against the planet over the past 100 years, he fails to accuse and to denounce the Vatican, which is behind the Rothschild, as the Jewish Encyclopedia 1910 says that the Rothschild are the guardian of the Vatican's treasure. So yes, he's right. The sins, though, lays at the door of the Catholic Church. And there's a Russian Orthodox who says that we must repent for the sins against the planet. There's the Ayatollah Daman, who says that we are in a moral crisis. And this guy's from Tehran, Iran, right? So, and we have the prophecy of Daniel there, which needs to be fulfilled before the end of times. So it's Daniel 8. So it's Daniel 8. And when Daniel was in Susa, and you see the two beasts confronting one another, this war, in my opinion, has not happened yet. So this Ayatollah from Iran says we are in a moral crisis that leads to killing. That's leading us to killing. Yet he fails to denounce the fact that he sits in the largest pedophile organization in the world, the Catholic Church, and that it's a terrorist criminal organization, because all the governments of the world, or most of the Western world, has been victim and their kids of this satanic terrorist pedophile organization. Yet no government has condemned the Catholic Church. You see, in 1649, when the king of Spain discovered that the Jesuits were plotting against his crown, he called all the kings of Europe, and they banned the Jesuits. Over 80 countries around the world banned the Jesuits because of their conspiracy. And yet today, it's all in the open in the news, and no one is denouncing this pedophile organization. The Coptic Church says we need to respect the dignity of life. Yet the Coptic Church fails in denouncing the largest pedophile organization, in which this two-word COP26 meeting takes place. And it takes place from the Hall of Benedictions. It's what, in the Vatican is the name of that room. So I call that the Hall from Hell. And so we have a guru, as I said, the guy in blue here. He sings in his language. He looks a little bit stupid. And so in the song, it says that he translates the songs in English afterwards, and he says that the water, in his religion, the water is the father, and the art is the mother, and we need not to dishonor them. And yet he fails to identify what the children represent in this religion, and that he sits in the largest pedophile organization in the world, the Catholic Church, and that it's the largest terrorist organization, the largest criminal organization in the world, by far, with millions of children have been abused and exposed for the past 20 years. And all those supposed to be religious leader and supposed to be moral leader failed the test of reasonable denouncing evil, which is the Catholic Church, this pedophile organization. Then there's a guy, an ecologist, from the Ecologist magazine, who says that, like religion, the highest principle of his Ecologist magazine is the non-violence against people and nature. yet he fails to denounce the largest pedophile organization, largest terrorist criminal organization, and satanic organization in the world, the Catholic Church. As you can see, satanic organization. In the Vigil Mass, they worship Lucifer. I've done a video on that. And they say it's an exaltation. It's what I was told on the social media. It's only an exaltation. Well, it's exactly that. It's an exaltation of Lucifer. And read in the dictionary what exaltation means. And he says that the doctors and the scientists are doing hypocritical oath when they say do no harm, because we harm the planet, therefore creates virus and all that. Yet he fails again to denounce the hypocritical oath of the supposed to be moral and religious leaders of this convention, where he sits in the largest pedophile organization in the world. He says that this is an important issue here. He says the religion without science is dangerous, and science without religion is also dangerous. So we have a preview of what's going to happen, right? And the scientists basically say the same thing. I'm going to come to the scientists little, in 2 minutes or so. And yeah, so basically, they all say in this convention, they say, we need to listen to the science, like Greta Thunberg. They say the same thing. And yet they've completely unbalanced the discourse of scientific, of the science, basically, of geoengineering, of the climate change. And it's only one-sided, just like the COVID-19. And so what we're gonna have is something similar to the COVID-19, where we're gonna have a scientist, Dr. Fauci, or it's gonna be another man, and he's gonna tell us, we need to do that, and it's gonna be like religion. Those scientists, they've become priests. They will become like Catholic priests, just like Anthony Fauci is some kind of Catholic priest who tells you what to do. And because the Catholic Church around the world and that the Protestant, so-called Protestant Reformation is supposed to be over according to them, well, the individuality must go, because it's a Protestant principle, the individuality, and the common good and the communism, the common good, is what needs to be implemented. So you see, so the scientists, which are chosen by the church, are going to tell you what to do, and the church is going to say, okay, well, we'll listen to the scientists, which they have put in place, just like in politics. It's going to be the same brainwashing tactics, in my opinion. And so we have also the Ayatollah Al-Miani, who says, you will be held responsible in the way that you have treated humans. And yet the Ayatollah Amihani fails to denounce the largest pedophile organization that treats humans like dogs, and even worse. I mean, they kill people, right? In Canada, they've over 2,000 people, maybe 3,000 people, young children, native children, because they didn't listen to the order of the nuns or the priests. And this Ayatollah, again, fails to denounce the largest pedophile, criminal, terrorist organization in the world, the number one satanic church in the world, the Catholic Church. Also, we have a woman there who seems to be a feminist. Her name is Gresham Castle, and she cites the Bible, where Jesus says to Mary Magdalene, go and sin no more. Yet she failed to denounce the sin of Babylon, of this pedophile, criminal, terrorist organization, this satanic organization, the Catholic Church. So after these people, we had two scientists in the end, who said basically, who echoed the discourse of the religious people. They said that we must have behavioral changes, and we must use taxes. We must have an adjustment of consumption. So that's the degrowth movement, right? It's all funded by the Catholic Church. All the social movements is funded by the Catholic Church. And that we need to have new education in school. So they want to brainwash your children again. And the Pope has said that last year. He did a summit in last May, I think, on education. So I believe it's coming. And we've seen the the change in the school. They're now pushing the environment in the school. So the Catholic Church run the Catholic schools, and through the how they call it, the organ of the UN, UNESCO. UNESCO is the organ that pushes the school curriculum in all the countries of the world, and it's under the umbrella or the leadership of the Pope of Rome. So you see, your children will be brainwashed because they control the world, and particularly the Western world. And so they say that science and technology must be used, and we risk to have an uninhabitable world very soon. Indeed, he's perfectly right, because the Catholic Church is going to run the world if everybody listens to them, and it's going to be uninhabitable just like in the Middle Age. He's perfectly right. And then when they're going to declare the Sunday law, God will intervene very soon after with the plagues. So there's going to be a huge climate change there. And they say, in the scientific people, okay, listen to this. The scientific people, he says, that guy who says that, we must change the lifestyle, as Laudato Si says. Now, of course, in point 237, Laudato Si says that we must change our lifestyle, right? And we must have a Sunday law. That's what they say. So they say that we must gain the ability to imagine another economy. So we got the Great Reset right there. Or a new boss between humanity and the environment. Have you heard that? He says must have the ability to imagine another economy and a new boss between humanity and the environment. So the Pope of Rome has the deadly wound is being healed right now. So in conclusion, you have the Archbishop Gallagher, who says again an allusion to the healing. He says, "Heal our we must heal the wounded humanity." Now, the wounded humanity in the book World Order, page 20, from Henry Kissinger, he says that the Protestant Reformation was a plague on the world, and the world order could not be implemented because of the Protestant Reformation. And again, an allusion to Revelation 13, where it says that and his deadly wound was healed. Again and again, it's the same thing, guys. I mean, this thing is preparing the Sunday law, and the world, in my opinion, the world in 2022 is going to change as much as it's changed from 2020 to 2021. It's going to be the same lockdowns, and the same thing's going to happen, in my opinion. It's going to be very fast, and they're going to implement the same thing that they used during COVID, because now they've destroyed the parliament of the world. They destroyed the legislative hall of the world. The parliaments, the elections were completely controlled, both in Canada and the US. And this is what we have. So we're going to have the same, and it's not for nothing that they're doing all those elections just before these massive change that's coming in the world. So this is, I believe this is prophecy fulfilling, guys. So this is all the leaders of the world who are saying, and they worship the dragon, which gives the power to the beast, and they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? Because, Satan gave him his power. So this is what we have now. These bunch of people are Satanists, and they're saying exactly that. They worship the dragon, they worship the beast, and they say, who can make war with that guy, with this Pope, which Satan gives his authority. This is the king of the world. So on that, God bless you. See you next time.